Let's interpret the phrase, add 4½ to the quotient of 5½ and 1 1/4, and then after interpreting that into an expression, let's use order of operations to simplify the result. So to begin interpreting this, we'll read left to right. The word add will mean plus. So we're going to add 4½ to the quotient of. The word quotient means divide. So we need two fractions that we're going to divide, and certainly enough we have the mixed numbers 5½ divided by 1 1/4. So the phrase add 4½ to the quotient of 5½ and 1 1/4 interprets to 5½ divided by 1 1/4 plus 4½. Let's use order of operations now to simplify this result. And we notice going down our list that we should perform multiplication and division before addition and subtraction. That means, going left to right, we're first going to divide 5½ by 1 1/4 to come up with a fraction, and then add that to 4½. For all the rules of fractions, it would be best if these were not mixed numbers, but improper fractions. So let's first convert each one of these mixed numbers to an improper fraction. How do we do that? For each one of these, we'll multiply the denominator by the whole part, and then add that to the numerator, and write that over the denominator. So for example, in our first case, 5 times 2 plus 1 over 2, divided by. In our second case, we'll have 4 times 1 plus 1 over 4. 4 times 1 plus 1 over 4. And in our last case, we would have 2 times 4 plus 1. 2 times 4 plus 1 all over 2. Let's simplify these three fractions now. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 becomes 11 over 2. Divided by 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 becomes 5/4. We're about to divide these two fractions. Plus 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 becomes 9 over 2. Alright, well next, in order to divide two fractions, 11½ by 5/4, we recall the process for dividing fractions, which is write the first fraction down, change division to multiplication, and invert or flip or write the reciprocal of the second fraction. That would become 4/5. We're still adding 9/2 to this, by the way. Now in multiplying two fractions, we could multiply across. However, we can also cross-cancel to simplify the numbers. How? 2 goes into itself once and into 4 twice. So we really have 11 over 1 multiplied by 2/5. And we're dividing that by 9 over 2. Well, 11 over 1 times 2 over 5 becomes 11 times 2, which is 22, over 1 times 5 becomes 5, divided by 9 over 2. Oops, I have made a mistake because I realized that this was a plus, so my apologies. This really is plus 9 over 2. Staying focused on the problem. Now, since we're adding a couple of fractions, the next level is that in order to add fractions, we need equivalent fractions with common denominators. Once we have common denominators, we can add the numerators. Well, the common denominator is the smallest number that both denominators divide into. The smallest number that both 5 and 2 divide into is 10. So we want two new fractions that will have 10 as the common denominator. That means we need to convert each one of these two fractions to an equivalent fraction. So 5 we would need to multiply by 2 to get 10. So since we're multiplying by 2 on bottom, we'll multiply on top. 2 times 5 is 10, and 2 times 22 becomes 44. The second fraction, we would need to multiply 2 by 5 to get 10. So we'll multiply the numerator by 5 to get 45. Now that we have two fractions we're adding with common denominators, we'll add the numerators. So this becomes 44 plus 45 over the common denominator of 10. Certainly, 44 plus 45 now becomes 89 over 10. And as an improper fraction, that could be our answer. However, we realized that the original problem had mixed numbers in it, so maybe we should also write our answer as a mixed number. To do that, 10 divides into 89 8 whole times, with a remainder of 9 left over out of what we were dividing by, which was 10. So as a mixed number, our answer is 8 9/10.